Do you like a Tribe Called Quest? Well, you gonna love the Urban Conservative.
Do you like manwich and nachos? Well, then you love the Urban Conservative.
Do you like guns? Do you like butter? Well, you're gonna love the Urban Conservative.
Yo, what's good, son? You like pit bulls, say? You like solving Sudoku puzzles? Then you gonna love the Urban Conservative.
Hey, buddy, if your car making a sound like this, you might want to get you some power steering fluid and check out the Urban Conservative podcast.
Are you repulsed by the idea of drag queen story time at your local library, but enjoy Carol Baskin TikTok memes? Then you would enjoy the Urban Conservative. Do you want to slap your boss and then go home and make yourself some golden brown pancakes covered in butter and freshly made warm boysenberry syrup? Then you'll love the Urban Conservative. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to. You will love the Urban Conservative. We are welcome to back in the building. It is Raheem, the architect, Soto, that guy over there. I am Abdul Ali. You are watching the Urban Conservative podcast. You are either live over at tuconservative.com or you're watching on Facebook. Either way, drop us a comment. Let us know where you're watching from so we can show you some love. You're right. You said you had a couple of things to plug, bro. I do. Well, first off, I want to give a big shout out to the whole entire Southampton Town Republican Committee. Successful get out the vote weekend. Great to see all the folks out there really, pushing hard, supporting candidates and asking some tough questions, not just going along to get along. But yeah, the Urban Conservative got some interesting things happening here in New York, here in Long Island. Shouts out to the Long Island Loud Majority folks. And shouts out to Manny Esteban. October 22nd, Friday, October 22nd, we're going to be doing the Suffolk County United We Win rally presented by Friends of Manny Esteban and the Urban Conservative. We got various town leaders, candidates from all over the island coming together. Chairman Jesse Garcia is going to be speaking. Long Island Loud Majority, of course, hosted by the Urban Conservative. You can call 631-529-4111 for tickets. 631-529-4111. And then October 19th, right before that Tuesday, Southampton Town GOP, Pints and Politics at the VFW Hall in West Hampton Beach. SHTownGOP.com for more information. How you can get out to Pints and Politics at the VFW from 6 to 8 p.m., right? Open bar for an hour. Come on down, have a pint with us, talk to Chairman Betts and a couple of the candidates, get to know them, and see what's going on out here. That's all my shout outs. I'm done. I want to get into the subject matter. You got something? Yo, I got two things. Number one, big shout out to every single person that's down with the North Carolina Black Conservative Voices, the Frederick Douglass Foundation, NCGOP. Just a big look to what's happening here in North Carolina. Some amazing things. On October the 23rd, bro, Saturday, October 23rd, we have a 3-county U.S. Senate forum. Cabarrus, Rowan, and Stanley counties will be joining forces for a U.S. Senate candidates forum. We have confirmed Mark Walker, Congressman Ted Budd, Kenneth Harper, Jim Banwart are going to be there. It is going to be an amazing event. We'll be at Morgan Ridge Vineyards in Gold Hill on October 23rd. You can go to 3countyforum.eventbrite.com to get tickets to that. I'll plug other stuff on another show, and y'all stay tuned to the page. Only other thing I got to tell people, bro, is they need to tune into the Urban Conservative. Make sure you hit that follow button, because every single morning, you got to check out Top of the Morning. It's our daily Monday through Friday series. It's called Top of the Morning. You'll get Monday. What do we call it? Mostly motivational Mondays. Mostly motivational Mondays. But great premiere for that this morning. If you haven't seen it, go check out today's podcast. And big ups to everybody that checks us out early in the morning. So, bro, today's show. Enough with the shenanigans. We did. Yeah. We're right at the 5-minute mark. We're getting good at that. That was perfect timing. We're at the 5-minute mark. Okay, so as you guys see, the title of today's show, and I'm really excited to talk to today's guest, because as you guys know, this is a learning experience, and we just share it with you guys in the form of a podcast, in the form of a show. But today, joining us to talk about criminal justice reform and what we think is a connection between the rise in violent crime in the country and this criminal justice reform idea. Welcome to the show for the first time, Texas Attorney Ken Good. Welcome to the show, sir. How are you? Let's get you in here. How you doing today, brother?
Great. Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Absolutely. Well. First off, Ken, tell the folks, a little bit about your background because of the subject matter. I know how our folks are. They're gonna be like, "Why they got this guy on the show? What does he know? Who is he? What does he know about criminal justice and that type of thing?" So, give us the background, if you will, and then we'll move forward.
Well, I'm a member of the board of directors of the Professional Bondsmen of Texas. I'm a Texas lawyer, but I specialize in bail law. I've been an attorney for 30 something years. I've been specializing in bail law for about 20 something years. I've argued two of the most important cases in the bail world in Texas before the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals, and the industry won both of those cases. We've been involved in criminal justice reform. It's affected counties where we do business, and so we've had to become experts on what works and what does not work, and we should be relied upon as experts. We've been doing this, getting people to court for over 200 years, so you would think that if people want to know what works and what doesn't work, they would come and ask us, because we're in the trenches doing that day in and day out.
Awesome. I did not know, because as everybody knows on the show, we keep things pretty loose. When you said bail law, that just, I don't know if that did that for you. My brain was like, there's another type of law. You mean there's a
Can you
whole
explain
world?
that a little bit for us lay people who don't even know that's a thing?
Sure. So there's a whole bunch of statutes. Like in Texas, we have a statute called 7.
I think we just lost them. Ken, you're frozen. Ali, can you hear me?
I hear you perfectly fine. I think the brother's signal went down.
Mm-hmm.
I can hear you.
Okay.
Okay.
So we
lost
you
in the
for a
beginning.
second.
You're frozen too.
Let's see. I'm back. Oh,
there you go. We see you buffering. He's buffering, ladies and gentlemen. Hold tight, because we're going to back up and talk a little bit about this bail law thing. And to be honest with you, when he said bail attorney, I didn't know he needed a lawyer for that. I just, you know what I'm saying? I didn't know you get a bail attorney.
And the fact that arguing those cases, and he said the industry won, which that was an interesting. I was like, huh.
Okay, he's probably, this is where I start to believe in the internet throttling and all of that, because we just sat in the background for 20 minutes perfectly fine. Then we start streaming to you guys, and it's like, explain to people the truth, and then
give them the truth. And all right, so listen, for me though, bro, bail law.
Okay, we got him back. Here we go. That's connecting. We got action.
All right, we got you back.
Wow, crazy. I just decided to refresh the page and see if that helped. What I was explaining is there's a statute in Texas, and every state has a similar statute. It sets out the factors that you have to consider in setting bail. And, there's various factors, like what's the crime, what's the nature of the crime. We just added to Texas the requirement that you have to review criminal history. And that's probably the most important reform Texas has done. And probably, Tim, you would think that reviewing a criminal history is common sense, but the semantics of getting that done, the process, the technology that allows that to be done is problematic. Even in Texas, they've only reviewed criminal histories within the county you've been arrested, and they've just now set up a system that requires that to be implemented by April of next year, so that you can review a statewide criminal history before you set bail. And that's really the problem we're having on bail reform. We're tying the hands of judges so that they cannot be a gatekeeper and look at somebody's criminal history. And the career criminals are having a field day, and they're taking advantage of the criminal justice system as a result. That's really what's going on.
So Ali, I got a quick question. So, and this may seem like a weird question to ask, right? But where does this idea of bail come from anyway, right? I mean, I not to get too in the weeds with it, but isn't you commit a crime and then there's a certain amount of money you can pay after committing the crime to get out of jail, right? Where, if you can kind of speak to where is the origin of this bail system anyway?
I would say it comes from England, and it comes from, it's a 200-year-old system. But the very foundation, the oldest example of bail is, instead of money, you promised to take a person's place if they didn't show up for court. So the earliest examples of bail in the United States is when you bonded somebody out, when you spoke for them. If they ran, you took their place. And so it was very we eventually replaced that with a system where if they failed to show up, we paid the face amount of the bond to the county. And so that's kind of the current system that we have here in Texas.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So one other question of more on the technical side of things, if you will. How do you explain to somebody, let's say that doesn't really have an interest in criminal justice per se? They're like, couch, they watch it in CIS and all the other court shows people may watch or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
How do you explain to them what criminal justice reform actually is versus the media perception of it or the media's output of it? How do you actually explain that to someone?
Well, what I would say is the problem that we're facing right now is a problem of urban areas. Where y'all live, you're the urban conservative. So the problem is, in our big urban areas, we arrest a lot of people and they have to be processed through the county jails quickly and efficiently. And historically, like in Harris County, they've used a bail schedule because they don't want to pay for the cost to have individual magistration where everybody has to see a judge before they're released. So they had a schedule, and if you post that, then we diverted a large number of people away from magistration, and then they could spend just the time they had left with the people who said they were poor. The problem we have is because of some lawsuits and because of some policy complaints, we're now moving away from bail schedules, and we're doing something that's called just simple release. Like in Harris County, as long as you commit a crime that's not on a certain carve out, you never see a judge, you never see a magistrate, and you're released on a $100 PR bond. And so how many times you commit that crime, you're released on a $100 PR bond, which is a free bond. And so we no longer have a gatekeeper. And then this bleeds over into the felony system, where we have example after example of people getting released on very low bonds. And we've got over 130, 140 people who've now been killed by people who were out on felony PR bonds or multiple felony bonds. And it's just become toxic. The Harris County DA just issued a report saying that she blames bail reform for the substantial increase in crime in Harris County.
So one thing that and part of this conversation, brother, is that what you just touched on, which is air finger quote criminal justice reform being responsible for the increase of crime. So you're saying it's not really a huge dump that if you let criminals out of jail cheaper, they're going to commit more crime. I mean, is that
I would
a
even say
fair
it a
way
little
to
bit
put
different.
it?
I'd say if you tie the hands, yes, but if you tie the hands of judges, then criminals will see that as a green light, and they will commit more crime.
So go ahead,
I think that's the bigger problem. Go ahead.
No. So my question is, what's your take on, or even let me think about. All right. So what's your take on the assault on judicial discretion, right? Because they're going after judicial discretion in a manner where judges don't have any real power. Is that kind of an easy way to say that? Does that make sense?
Yes, I think that they are trying to take away judges' discretion so that they are forced to simply release people no matter what the criminal history is. And that's where we have a problem. I mean, you can't be a gatekeeper and you can't look to say, hey, this guy has he's a career criminal, so we need to take a harder line. because our whole criminal justice system is based on, if you're a first-time offender, you get less punishment. If you're a 10-time offender, you're going to go to the pokey for a while. And so we're taking away that, and we're treating a 10-time offender the same as a first-time offender for a lot of crimes. And that's criminals look at that and see that as a green light to commit more crime. And so what do we have? 1 + 1 = 2. We're seeing more crime.
So we've kind of looked at from where we sit at places like New York that have put bail reform on, and you see, like you said, repeat offenders getting out there on the streets. One of the things we noticed is a lot of the places where you see these major spikes in crime are Democrat leftist controlled cities. We talk about LA, Chicago, Detroit, Baltimore. We pulled up in Texas. Beaumont, Texas was one of the places that they said was in the top 10. And more often than not, it is minority folks suffering as the victims of crime at the hands, most often, of minority folks in minority communities. Do you think the current criminal justice system as it exists is a racist system? I'm just curious. Let me start there. Do you think the criminal justice system is racist at all?
No, I do not think it's racist, because if you look at your example, the crimes that are being committed are being created by race on the same race. And then when you get into the criminal justice system, in those same locations, you're being prosecuted by the same racial makeup person. The jury is made up by the same racial makeup. And so in a lot of our urban areas, the whole criminal justice system is that the majority is that race. And yet we're saying if a criminal gets punished, it's a racist system. I think, in fact, I'll answer your question even a little bit different way. Our problem is a poor, poverty-driven urban issue where drugs are rampant, families have failed, schools have failed, the riots have made it even worse to find a job or an opportunity. And so we're seeing the failure of our urban cities. And now we're saying, well, we have to not punish these people because it's a racist system. That's just absolutely not true. It's actually covering for all the failures the politicians have done already. And now they're saying, well, now let's fail them in the criminal justice system as well.
So how bad for you as an attorney? I'm here in New York, right? Bail reform has been just a complete disaster, right? But how did you see, like, what was your perception of it as you saw it changing and developing? Like, what was your processing of that, what you saw going on here in New York?
Well, I saw that they went to a system of simple release, where if they were charged with certain crimes, they had to be released on no bail. And it was such a failure, and such a failure so quickly, that they repealed portions of it even during the pandemic. So they saw that it was a complete failure. Now, the problem is they didn't repeal all of it. They still have more to repeal, because the problem is still, for those areas, it's still a problem. I think that's an example of what Harris County has done as well. We call that simple release. Simple release is just an abject failure. And if you think about it, it's what our friends on the left are pushing in our large urban areas, because the cities or the counties can't afford to individually magistrate everyone. And so they're saying, well, let's just simply release everyone. And they can't do that. So they have to find something else to do to divert people away from magistration if they're not willing to pay for individually magistrate everyone arrested. The only thing historically that's ever been tried and worked is a bail schedule. It's been blessed by the federal courts as long as it has protections for the poor. And, the Texas just passed bail reform, which I would call good bail reform. And in it, they endorsed the use of a bail schedule as long as it had protections for people who were poor.
What are some of those protections? So you're saying I'm a low income person. I go in Walmart and I steal $20 worth of chicken. Mm-hmm. I shouldn't have $5,000 bail for that.
Well, the Constitution requires that if you use a bail schedule and you cannot afford the scheduled amount, then you have the right for a hearing within a certain amount of times of being arrested. to say to the judge, I can't afford this amount. Will you please give me a lesser amount? And the judge then individually assesses that person based on their criminal history, based upon the crime, based upon all the different factors, and then sets bail for that person. If after they do that, you still can't afford the bail, the constitutional requirements have been met. You had an opportunity to ask for a deviation. The judge made a ruling, and so the constitutional requirements have been met. What the problem is, our friends have spent 3 years saying that the Constitution says someone who's poor cannot be kept in jail, and that's just. I mean, we don't want anybody poor to be kept in jail, but we don't want to use poverty as an automatic get out of jail free card for career criminals. And that's what our friends have turned this into in many areas.
I'm just for the record, I want poor pedophiles staying in jail. I want poor rapists to stay in jail. Like y'all could stay in there. Yeah, y'all stay in there. Like,
you know what? I think about this, right? And there's this, and you can correct me if I'm wrong about this, but there's a concept in law of like no penalty without law, right? So does that drive the concept of our wild amount of laws? Like, does that concept, do you understand what I'm asking? Like, does that drive this? Because there's laws on the books that are absolutely crazy, but as it relates to criminality, like here in New York, it's legal. Somebody wrote this down. To mutilate a woman's genitals is you there's no bail for that in New York. So how is that, like, what is that? What?
Well, we're now in this period of over politicalization of our criminal justice system. I mean, like in Texas, you can have a certain amount of marijuana in one county and not be prosecuted, and in the next county you'll be prosecuted. And I just think that's so unfair. I mean, the public doesn't. I mean, that undermines the trust of the system for all Texans, because they don't understand why one county will elect to prosecute and another county will not. And that what you're talking about is another example where we've made political decisions that we're not going to prosecute certain crimes anymore. And now it used to be, well, the DAs had a discretion because they only have so much time, so they get to decide where they're spending their time to prosecute crimes. But now it's becoming all political. We're making those decisions based on politics, not based on any other reason, and it's really harming the public's trust in the criminal justice system, and it makes it where we don't trust them at all, and it's really harming the system.
One thing I can say, and shouts out to all the hardworking, honest judges and DAs and police officers out there. I am fortunate in that I talk to judges from different states all the time. And one of the recurring things that I've heard is that they really don't like the idea of destroying somebody's life over a petty crime. You know, you got a couple, a dime bag of weed. There's no sense in sending that person to prison for a half ounce. It's like, come on, we're really going to do this. It's like, and one of the guys I spoke to was saying that, the criminal justice system, the society is changing, and that what was criminal to one generation of people, i.e. marijuana, is not the same thing. Now it's just ubiquitous through society, like world society. It's not. So, the judiciary has to change at a local level to keep up. The laws have to change to keep up. My brother and I have this because, ladies and gentlemen, we're right about the 24-minute mark here on the Urban Conservative. We're talking about criminal justice reform and the rise of violent crime across the country. If you support the content, please go over to tuconservative.com. Go ahead and get that membership, man. That'll give you access to the wonderfully curated news feed. You will be first to know when there are Urban Conservative events coming up in an area near you. You will also get access to our special blog. Not only that, you get behind the scenes content when you go over to tuconservative.com and get yourself a membership. Right now, you're watching on tuconservative.com/live, or you are watching on Facebook. Either way, give us a like. Give us a share, subscribe on YouTube. Let us know where you're watching from, and we'll get you a shout out in there. So, bro, on the second half of this thing, there were some things you wanted our attorney friend to take a look at here.
And he mentioned I can't say the word either.
Politicization, bro.
That one. I'm not even going to try it. Right now is not a good time. So the case of what happened there, and I'll put this up on the screen for everyone else. With the shooting that happened there. Now, I don't understand this, right? This gentleman here, the Texas suspected Texas high school gunman, reportedly got a welcome home party. Now, there are people in a coma. There are people severely injured. Um, how does this person get out of jail? Like, how does this work?
75 grand was the bond.
Yeah. So how did that work? And there's someone in the hospital now. How does that happen?
Well, it happens because the DA in Dallas County is one of our friends on the other side, and that was supported by George Soros and his financial resources, and so he's not as bad as the DA in LA, who says that we just have different opinions about who the victim is. It's not the person who is the victim of the crime; it's the defendant because of all the stuff that's happened to them in the past. I don't understand that one. I mean, if you want to make a statement about we don't allow this to happen, and if you do this in our county, you're going to be punished. You have to send a message to other people who are thinking about this. We failed them. That this was a complete failure to have that, and it's this where we're equivocating. We have all these movies that have come out in the last 5 years where the victim, the really evil guy in history is not really as evil as we thought they were if we just understood them. And so we're blurring the lines everywhere in our community about, well, if you cross this line, no. If you cross this line, no. If you cross this line, I mean, we no longer have lines. It's all really turns into who you know and what political party you're supporting and who's in power at the time. We can't have a criminal justice system based on what party's in power, who that leads to chaos, that leads to anarchy, and so we have to have, if we're going to be a country, we have to have a system of laws that is in place to protect everybody. And if we have crimes in the inner cities, we have to protect the inner cities. We have to protect anyone that has crimes against them. We can't have double standards, and that's where we are right now. We are having a double standard in our urban areas that are controlled by our friends on the left, and we have a different standard everywhere else in the country. And that cannot continue without breaking our country.
So one question I've got to ask in this situation here, it said he posted $75,000 bond. Does that mean he couldn't get a bail bondsman to get him out, or does that sound like for an alleged shooting, 75 grand seems a little low? Like knowing there's somebody in the hospital, like does that seem a little low? Number one, and number two, does that seem like did he have to post that? Is that all of the bond for something like that?
That is it's a surety bond. It is a bail bond, and so he had to go to a bondsman to get it. But yeah, it's absolutely low. And under the Texas, I don't think anybody has died. And so there's people in the hospital, so it's assault. So it's not a crime that the Texas Constitution would allow you to deny bail, because in Texas, it has to be specifically listed in the Texas Constitution. If someone had died, then it would be capital murder or murder, and then the judge would be authorized to deny bail. But at 75, especially for people that have been injured, that's just too low. Now, for all I know, they may be waiting and filing additional criminal charges, and he may get another $75,000 bond and another and another and another until he can't afford them anymore and he has to sit in jail. But he should be in jail, and I don't understand why he's not. I mean, I don't know why the bond is $75,000. This is just ridiculous.
Yeah, and I guess what I'm getting at is he had to put that whole 75K up. Not he didn't put up 7,500. He got out with 10%.
Probably less than 10%, because it's not always paid up front. It's probably a down payment plan, and so he got out for a lot less than $7,500.
Wow.
Well,
all right. So hold on.
The reason why the judges think that they have to do that is because this mindset that has settled in, that if they say they can't afford any more than a $75,000 bond, then the Constitution says they can't set more than a $75,000 bond. And that's the lie. That is the lie. And we've had two courts say that's the lie. But you know what? the left is selling that as the truth, and it's not. Absolutely not true.
Go
That's
ahead, Rob.
yo, that's crazy. You almost just made me forget what I was gonna say. But before we go to this other question, right? How do you connect, right? Because I want to kind of put a bow tie on this as we come to the tail end of this, right? So if you had to explain to someone very simply the connection between criminal justice reform and what we see as a rise in crime, right? If you had a minute to just let me just explain it to you,
Mm-hmm.
right? How can you do that to somebody, right? Like we're just a sponge. Explain it to us. What's that connection? Make it make sense for us.
I would say that we have a problem in our urban areas because our urban areas are high population areas, and we arrest a lot of people, and we've got to figure out a way to process them quickly and efficiently through the county jail. That's our problem. We don't know how to do that. We still don't know how to do that. Individual administration is very expensive, and so counties don't want to pay for that. So they look for ways to divert people away. Right now, we're experimenting with simple release, abject failure, causing an increase in crime. And then I would add to that, if in the meantime you reduce your police force and you call it defunding the police, then your criminals see that as a green light to commit more crime. And so we now have what I would call Texas has good bail reform, and then you have other states that are just doing simple release, which is bad bail reform. Any reform that ties the hands of the judges, then you're going to have a green light for career criminals. That's what we have to prevent. You have to have accountability. If you don't have accountability, then they're going to run amok, and that's exactly what we have across the country.
So, Ra, let's go ahead with that other one. I'm curious to get Brother Good's opinion on this other one real quick.
All right, so I'm going to show you something, and I just want to know who's going to jail in this scenario. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you have sensitive ears, now's the time. You're going to want to mute the video here because it's a little strong. All right, you can see the title here, but I really want to know who goes to jail. And if you need to see this a couple of times, I don't mind running it back. It's only a 1 minute video,
You
right?
got to make
Pretty
it big,
violent,
bro.
but I want to know who's going to jail.
So make it big, bro.
Okay.
Make it big.
I got you. I'm gonna stretch it out right now. Here you go. Hold on. And then I'm gonna do that. And then I'm gonna do this. And I'm gonna go here. And I'm gonna try to make it even a little bit bigger. Oh, but it's not. It doesn't need to be much bigger to see
No,
what
no,
happens.
that's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
Listen, so
All
check
right.
this
So
out, Brother Ken.
here's what takes place, and I need to know who goes to jail in this scenario. Here we go.
Knock your ass out. Yeah. Step your game up, white trash. You want some bleeding that crackhead hoe? Step your game up. Call the police. They don't give a fuck, hoe.
I ain't calling no police, bitch.
Call the police. We can't, bitch.
Dude, I'm gonna fucking call the police.
I know you
After
are.
you would call the police.
I beat your motherfucking ass.
You do not know where
Talking
I'm
about,
from.
are you serious? 75 cent white trash? You ain't got 75 cent. Broke ass hoe.
Bitch,
I don't give a fuck about that bitch word.
Shut the fuck up.
You talking about shit. I don't give a fuck about that. I don't give a fuck about that. Broke ass hoe. You just better.
I'm not drunk, bro. I didn't even fucking.
Don't never touch me,
You
hoe.
fucking touch me, bro. I will.
Bitch, don't never touch me, hoe. I'm not playing with you.
All right. Who goes to jail?
Well, I would hope that the guy that just slapped somebody that's assault. So I would think that the person who initiated the contact went to jail.
Okay, so in all fairness, I know you can't really see it. It's kind of small, right? So in a play-by-play, she does push him first if that changes anything. She pushed him.
No, because once you push, you have a right to defend yourself.
So does that change it a little bit now? So does she go to jail or does he go to jail?
Was that too much force? was that unnecessary?
Okay, this is kind of, let's go back to just law school.
Okay.
Any unwanted, unauthorized touching is assault. And, I don't, you could say there's verbal assault, but I mean, I think under our law, if you got a video where whoever initiated, then once you initiate contact, the other person has a right to defend themselves. So I mean, on this one where everybody's hitting everybody, you would be going, who do you know? How do you know? How do you take this apart? How do you figure out
Mm,
which one is responsible? And when you get, and when the police are trying to just pick somebody, figure out, sometimes they pick wrong, they file charges, and then you don't have the money to defend yourself, or
hmm
like here, you don't have a video. So that's where we get people who are saying, well, they pled guilty, so they don't, even though they shouldn't have pled guilty. I don't know. I'm
Mm.
going to stick with whoever initiated contact is the person who committed assault, and the other person has the right to defend themselves.
So in that
Okay.
case, bro, in that case, he sounds like he's not going to jail. I
Yeah,
don't
it's
know.
crazy. It's crazy.
It's crazy. So look, brother Ken, there's a couple of things. Rod, go ahead. Go ahead.
So how about this though? How about everybody? I'm just gonna say, how about everybody just keep your hands to yourself, folks? Some people just overreact.
Well,
just
how
take a
about
push the wrong way.
how about being respectful? I mean, how about just being respectful of each other? I mean, I'm from down south. I'm a Christian, but I say things that I wish I hadn't said before. And so sometimes I'll be like, is this really something that a Christian would say? Is this the way a Christian would act? And just thinking that way, sometimes I've stopped myself, and so I'm like, "Ooh, I shouldn't be doing that." And I think one of the problems we have is we've lost our moral compass for our country.
Sure.
And we have so many different people on the left trying to replace it with something else. And right now we're replacing it with identity politics, where because of your identity, you're a conservative. Then everybody that's not a conservative has to hate you because of your identity, and we can't have that. Let's fight about ideas.
Right.
Let's fight about arguments, and let's argue the things. But we don't do that anymore. We just say you're stupid, you're a conservative, and so I don't have to respond to your argument. Well, they can't. We don't try anymore. The response to your argument is you're racist, and so I don't have to listen to you. And everybody, all my friends of my identity, are going to tune you out because that's what we do, and we have to end that.
Gotta end that right on. So Ra, we got some traditions on this show around these parts.
We do. It's your first
And
time, so yeah.
there's a couple of questions Ra's gonna. It's kind of a little bit of a lightning round we're gonna go through here. And
All right.
at the end of this lightning round, the floor will be yours to tell the good folks in the audience what you got going on and how they can support you. But Ra's got some questions for you. Let's go. Let's get it cracking. Ding, ding, ding.
All right.
Lightning round here on the Urban Conservative.
So this is called Get to Know Ken. So here we go.
All right.
This will tell the folks kind of what kind of person you are. Okay. Texas, St. Louis, or Tennessee barbecue.
Oh, Texas, of course.
Okay, fair. Can't get it wrong. Okay,
all right, I got one. So
go ahead.
You have to be defended in a criminal case. Do you want Johnny Cochran or F. Lee Bailey?
Oh, F. Lee Bailey. He has a great reputation, and I would go for reputation over style.
Okay. What you got, Ra?
Okay. All right. You have to get into a physical confrontation. There's no avoiding it. You have to. You're going outside. It's happening. Okay. There's no turning of the other cheek. Who would you prefer to?
Up.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, listen. Who would you rather have on your side? Right? Would you rather have Donald Trump, right, or would you rather have Mitt Romney?
Oh, Donald Trump, easy. Mitt Romney is. He is the find the middle road. He's always going to compromise. He's going to try to talk his way out of it. I need Donald Trump to get down in the mud with me and try to win this fight. It's not even close.
All right,
okay.
Gotcha.
You got one, Ron? Go ahead.
All right,
go ahead,
gotcha. Okay. On the flip side, you're in a criminal case and you have to be prosecuted by someone. Do you want to be prosecuted by Jeanine Pirro or Clarence Thomas?
I would take Clarence Thomas, and the reason why is because I believe he's a man of integrity, and so I would want someone who I think is a man of integrity, and because I would be afraid if they're not, that they would try to further their career at my expense.
Very good answers in the lightning
Okay,
round.
last one for me. Last
Go
one
ahead.
for me. Last one for me. Okay, best court show: Judge Judy, Judge Joe Brown, or the People's Court.
Oh, Judge Janine. I think
Okay.
she's a great speaker. She and I don't think people can respond to her arguments. And I think she's a great. She sets out the conservative voice very well.
All right, there we go. So listen, ladies and gentlemen, we've been joined by Texas Attorney Ken Good. We've been talking about criminal justice reform, its relation to the rise in violence. He's just made it through the lightning round. So the floor is now yours for the next 15 to 30 seconds to tell the folks how they can get a hold of you and support what you've got going on, brother. The floor is now yours.
If you would like further information about good bail reform versus bad bail reform, as people across our states across the country are looking at it, go to our website, pbtx.com, which is the Professional Bondsmen of Texas. We have links to all of our information. We have a blog, we have an information corner, and you can get additional information. We've had people from other states tell us they've gone to our website, downloaded our information, and helped to defeat bad bail reform bills that were filed in their state. We can help you. Allow us to give you our resources. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it right here on the Urban Conservative. If you want to support what the brother's doing, that is pbtx.com. pbtx.com. If you go there, tell them the Urban Conservative sent you. You've been watching live on Facebook, or you've been over on tuconservative.com/live. As always, if you want to support what we're doing here to sponsor a show, you can reach directly out to us or send a cash app to $TU Conservative. We will be back next Monday with another episode of the Urban Conservative Podcast. Make sure you tune in Wednesday night for Two Americas. They've got a great show coming up. And remember, every single morning, 9 a.m. right here on the Urban Conservative, you're going to get your daily dose of mostly motivation with top of the morning to you. Until next time, for my twin brother, Raheem Architect Soto, and for attorney King Good, who's been kicking it with us today, I'm Abdul Ali. You've been checking out the Urban Conservative Podcast. We'll catch y'all next time.
We will.
Thanks, guys. It was great.